Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us coming here to learn the language of the noble Quran. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us sadqa jariyah for our parents and make our children sadqa jariyah for us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to learn the language of the noble Quran and then teach others. I welcome you, my respected sisters, to today's class. I hope everybody's doing well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in knowledge. If you all are able to hear me loud and clear, please give me some feedback in the chat window. And you know the host for giving the feedback is your answers. Please write here. So once we get some feedback, inshallah, we'll start the class. Alhamdulillah. So we are in chapter 5. And as we know that we were doing Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul continuing since chapter 4. In chapter 5, we have so far seen the passive verbs. Now, we will be passive verbs in terms of when the verb is a weak verb. So we have done this text, and then we have done some exercises, and we have stopped here. So we'll continue from this one. Now, this is once again, we will try to spend more time, inshallah, in the other section of the lesson. We'll not spend time here. You can read it in your own time. This is simply an example of passive verb when it is an ajwaf. Just one thing I would like to mention here, so inshallah we'll be able to have some kind of understanding in future. In point number 5, if you see, this is the ayah from the Quran. وَفِي التَّنْزِيلِ وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ ارْكَعُوا لَا يَرْكَعُونَ. And in the Quran, when it is said to them, they are told to bow down, they do not bow. So this إِذَا, when it is used with the past tense, it is translated into future. So we have done lam, right? Lam is jazima, but what lam does is lam changes mudare into past tense. We have seen that. And we have seen lan. Lan changed the mudare into negative future tense. Idha, on the other hand, when it is used with the past tense, it changes the meaning into future tense. If you understood that, this is fine. If you don't, then don't worry about it. This is not the topic of the lesson today. So we will continue with the next part, number 4 here. Is ponder over the examples of active participle created from mudaf verb, then complete the incomplete. So basically, we have so far seen the verbs which were naqis, which were ajwaf. Now we will see how will we make ismul fa'il. So we have seen in past, in the previous lesson, usage of weak verbs and making passive from them. When we have done in the last chapter, chapter 4, Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul, we have seen over there only the sound verbs. Masalan, kataba will become katibun. Qatala will become qatilun. But it will come to Ismul Maf'ul, there is a pattern. Mim in the beginning, waw is the second last letter. So kataba maktubun, qatala maqtulun. Now we will see what will happen when we will be making ismul fa'il from the verbs which have got different, which are from the different categories. For example, mudaf is one of the category in the verbs categories, and I hope you all remember that, where we have an identical letter coming and it has got a shadda. What is the example? Hajja. Hajja means he performed Hajj. What type of verb is that? If I ask you, though I have already explained that, you will say this is a muda'af verb. Why? Because this ayn and lam kalima are identical and there is a shadda coming after the idgham, after the assimilation. So Hajja, if you have to make Hajja, how will you make Ismul File? Our pattern is same. We add alif after the first letter. So if you add alif after the first letter, it'll become ha. And this jim with the shadda actually are two letters. This is not something new. We already know that. So if we could stick to this part, which is the middle part, which is the final result, we can still understand that because we have done these verbs before. Maybe someone who has not done these verbs before, they will need to understand this hajja was ha and then jim and then another jim. So alif came after ha and on the pattern of fa'il and it become hajijun. But Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we already know that this is a mudaf verb and this ayn and lam kalima is the same identical letter. So you simply add alif here in the middle, it'll become hajjun. Hajjun. So he performed Hajj. Hajjun is one who performs Hajj. Dhanna means he thought. If we talk about somebody who is a thinker, or Zanna means guess or estimated. If we talk about somebody who is a thinker or a guesser or an estimator, we say Dhanun. Originally it is Dhaninun because this noon with the shadda are basically two letters. On the pattern of fa'ilun, it'll be Dhaninun. But because these two are identical letters, they will get assimilated. Dhanun. Marra means he passed by. How will you make Ismul File? Simply add alif here. Marrun. Dalla means he went astray. Somebody who went astray, how will you make Ismul File? Dallun. Dalla means he point. If you want to talk about somebody who is a pointer, somebody who does the pointing, say dallun. Jarra means he pulled. How will you say somebody, the one who pulls as an ismul fa'il, you say jarun. Is everybody clear here, sisters? Or have you got any confusion? Please let me know. I just moved past quickly because this is a verb, we already know that. So there's still we went into a little bit detail, but there's really no point going into the detail of something we have done so many times before. So simply, if you have a verb which is mudaf, you will add alif as your usual pattern. It'll become hajjun, dhannun, marrun, dalun, dalun, and jarrun. I hope it is clear. Moving forward, now we will see how will you make ismul fa'il if you have a verb which is ajwaf. Ajwaf means what? That the second letter, the ayn kalima, is a weak letter. Now, there are two possibilities of ajwaf, that when you get the verb like qala, we all know what was qala in asl, it was qawala. Alif was not there. Originally, it was qawala. Because of the rules of the surf, so that the pronunciation can become easy, it was made into qala. So whenever this is something I have repeated many times, I hope by now you understand that every time you see alif coming as the ain kalima in your past tense verb, this alif is not asli. It's not the original letter, it has been changed. Now, all you need to know, and that is important for you to know, that what was the original letter instead of alif. There are two possibilities. Either it was waw or it was ya. And how do we know that? We have seen that many times, that we will know that by looking at the mudare. So qala, if you look at yaqulu, these four letters, yaqulu, what is this ya? Who can tell me? So if we know first what is this ya, we will be able to understand it better, inshallah. This ya is harful mudare from anit, right? So this ya basically is a mudare. It's not the part of the original word. So what is the word now here? Qaf, waw, and lam. So this middle is waw. It was alif in the past. We said alif is not an original. Original can be waw or can be ya. So you see that as, because if you wanted to find out what was the asl, what was the original letter here in place of alif, You just need to look at the mudare. When you looked at the mudare, there are four letters. You know, this first letter is harful mudare. So this has got its own purpose. It is nothing to do with the verb itself. So when you look at the verb, qaf is there as it was in the original madi. Lam is there as it was in the original madi. But now wow is coming. So this tells you, this mudare tells you that the original word for the alif was wow. The original word was qawala. This is one thing. But I told you alif can be wow and can be ya. Likewise, if you look at some other verbs, look at this one, mala, right? Mala is the past tense. Again, it's an ajwaf. Alif is coming here. Now you want to find out this alif is wow or ya. You will look at the mudare. In Mudare, you can find that in the dictionary, or with the usage, you will remember that, inshallah. So when you say Mala Yamilu, once again, Yamilu is Mudare, present tense, Ya is harful Mudare. So it's not a part of the verb. Part of the verbs are Mim, Ya, and Lam. So we know Mim was present in the past tense, Lam was present in the past tense, Ya was not present in the past tense. So we know this Ya is actually this Alif. I hope it is clear, sisters. Is everybody with me? Another thing is sometimes it happens with some verbs. When you look at the mudare, you don't find the original letter, because if you had alif in the madi, you will still have mudare with the alif as well. So what will you do? Then there is a second place, and that place is you look at the masdar. When you look at the masdar, you will actually find that what is the asl word. Look at this nama. When you look at nama, Noon, Alif, and Mim. Now we know this Alif coming in the middle is not Asl. So as we have learned just now, we go to Mudare and see Yanamu. Ya is harful Mudare. So we leave it for a second. And then we look at the letters of the verb. Noon is there, Mim is there, but what? In the middle, Alif. And past tense, it was Alif as well. So what to do? We know Alif is not Asl. So it means a ghair asli, non-original letter used as Ain Kalima, Alif in the past is also used in Mudare. Now, how will you find out which is the Asl? Because you have to find out when you make the derivatives, when you make mushtaqat, when you make other words from the verb, you need to know what was the asl. That is important because that will affect that the new word you are making. So what will you do? Then you will look into the masdar. So here, look at this. It says here the ain kalima is the wow and it become appears in the masdar. So what finally we learn is if you get an ajwaf verb and you get alif coming in the middle, now this alif can be ya and alif can be wow. How to find that? There are two places where you can actually find out what is the asl. First of all, you will look at the mudare. So in the case of qala yaqulu, when you saw yaqulu, you know this wow is the asl. This alif is not asl, this wow is the asl. So this is the original letter here, which was changed into alif. But you look at nama yanamu, even after looking at mudare, you are not able to see what was the asl, because in the madi, ain kalima is alif, and in mudare as well alif. So then you look at the masdar, and masdar is naumun. Masdar is naumun. So when you look here, you see, okay, noon and mim are coming from the original verb, and this wow is coming as the mid in the middle as an ain kalima. So now you know that isnama was actually nawama. Nama was actually nawama. I hope it is clear. Is everybody with me, sisters? Or you want me to repeat it again? Please give me some feedback in the chat window. If you think I should repeat, give me, please write one. If not, if you think you understood that, please press 2. Alhamdulillah. So I'll just repeat one line here, and that is the main substance of this whole discussion. When you find an ajwaf verb, and it has got alif in the middle here, you must know that this alif is not asl. You need to know what is the original letter. Where will you find the original letter? You will find the original letter either in the present tense, in the mudare of that verb, or you will find that in the masdar of that word. So example where you can find in mudare is qala yaqulu, zara yazuru, Swama yasumu. You see, swama has got alif in the past, but mudari is showing its waw. But when you come to nama yanamu, alif is in the past, alif is in the mudare. How will you know where is the what is the original one? So you look at the masdar, naumun, and now you know that waw was the asl. So I hope it is clear. Now coming back to the main topic of this exercise, that we have to make ismul fa'il from ajwaf. How will we make qala yaqulu? What is the original? It's waw. If we put now all of this in our pattern, qaf is our fa kalima, our pattern for making ismul fa'il is fa'ilun, adding alif. So you edit alif after that, and then waw is coming, which is the original letter, and the lam is coming, which is the original letter. Remember one thing, I hope you all have by now pointed out and understood that this alif is the alif of the pattern of fa'ilun for the ismul fa'il. This alif is not the alif from qala, because the alif of qala is actually waw, which is appearing here. So how, what is the asl? If you see the original ismul fa'il, it is qabilun, qabilun. But what happens is, once again, because of the rules of the surf, what you will do is you will change this waw into hamza. We have seen something like this before as well. Now I'll just make it very easy. If you don't want to go into this asl, original and non-original for now, just do one thing. Whenever you find this verb on the pattern of ajwaf, when there's an alif coming, what you simply do is, before the last letter, add hamza and leave the verb as it is. So qala qailun, zara zairun, sama saimun, nama naimun. I hope it is clear. So there were two ways of doing it. One was the proper way of understanding the thing and then doing it. But if you have any difficulty, for now you can live with that, and then gradually, when you are able to absorb this, then you can think that why this actually happened, what was the asl, and what was the final result of that. If you look at the final result, simply qala qailun, zara zairun, sama saimun, nama naimun. Even if you practice like this, you will be able to become, inshallah, strong in that. As I told you before, sisters, surf is all about practice, more and more writing, more and more writing. If you don't write, then you will not be able to really grasp the subject. Then you have to rely on, subhanallah, these kind of things where you have some shortcut, and you know qala is going to be qailun. So every time I'm coming up with ajwaf verb, I'll just simply put a hamza as a third letter. If you look at now this one, this is ajwaf al-ya'i. So ajwaf is basically of two types. Hollow verbs are of two types. One type is, because originally ajwaf is the one which has ain kalima is weak letter, and that weak letter is alif. And we said that that alif can be waw or ya. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on scholars. They have divided ajwaf into two categories to make things easy. And because these two categories have got their different branching out, but as far as this particular thing, ismul fa'il, is concerned, they both remain the same. So mala yamilu, how, what will be the ismul fa'il? Ma'ilun. Same like qailun. So as far as ismul fa'il is concerned, whether the ajwaf verb is ajwaf wawi or ajwaf ya'i, the answer will remain same. What is ajwaf wawi? Ajwaf wawi means this is an ajwaf verb, hollow verb. The asl of ajwaf here, the asl of alif was waw. If the asl, the original letter of this alif is waw, as in this case of yaqulu or yazuru or yasumu, it will, or in the case of nama, which is yanamu, but actually it is waw here, that ajwaf will be called ajwaf wawi. Ajwaf wawi. And the ajwaf where the alif was actually ya, it will be called ajwaf ya'i. What will it be called? Ajwaf ya'i. I hope it is clear. So let's quickly do that. Mala means to bend or incline. If someone who is inclined, how will you make ismul fa'il? Ma'ilun. It was ba'a yabi'u, to sell. How will you say seller? Ba'e'un. Sara yasiru, to walk. How will you say walker? Sa'irun. Asha ya'ishu, to live. The one who is living will be, the one who lives will be called Aishun. Sala yasilu is to flow or to run. How will be the ismul fa'il? Sa'ilun, what flows, liquid. Ghaba yaghibu means to be absent. If someone who is absent, how will it be called? Ghaibun. You remember, sisters, ghaibun, we have done many times. You see now where is this Hamza coming from? This is coming because of Ismul Fa'il and the original verb was ghaba. I hope it is clear. So if we move to number 7 here, number 7 is making ismul fa'il. So ponder over the example of active participle created from naqis with wow verb, then complete the incomplete. So naqis also has got the same situation. What is naqis? Naqis is the verb where the last letter is weak letter. So the last letter is a weak letter, right? So it means it's a naqis. If it was in the middle, we would call it ajwaf, but now the weak letter is coming in the end. And this alif is also not original. It is either waw or it is ya, as we have just learned before. So we have a verb, da'a yad'u. What is the asl here? If you add, because da'a yad'u, what is the asl of alif? Look at mudare. You can see yad'u because ya is harf al mudare. So this is out of question right now. If we now look at the verb, letter of the verb, we find dal and ain. Dal and ain were present in the past tense. But now we see in mudare, wow. This wow tells us that this alif in the madi was actually wow. So if we have to put a pattern of ismul fa'il in that, what will be the asl? After fa kalima, we put alif. So we did the same thing. Dal was the original letter of the verb. We put alif to make it fa'ilun. Is on the pattern of ismul fa'il. So ain got the kasra and waw got dammat and fa'ilun. Same pattern. But the problem is, if you have a kasra, then you cannot have waw coming after that. The rule is that if there is a kasra, then the next letter should be ya. So what will it become? Ad-da'i. Ad-da'i. Now there's a little complication here. There's not a complication, but we don't want to go in there that what is happening. I'll just tell you something in one line and we'll move forward, because right now we are looking at ismul fa'il. We are not looking at other possible scenarios here. So how will you make ismul fa'il? Ad-da'i. If it was naja, yanju, to escape, if you want to make ismul fa'il, the original was najivun. You see how difficult it is? Najivun. Once again, for me and you, maybe we can pronounce that without difficulty. But Arabs, they don't like this. They have a different way of pronouncing things. Their understanding, their pattern, their ease on their tongue is different. So that's why they have this rule where every time you see kasra, you cannot have wow coming as the next letter. So you will bring in wow here. An-naji, one who escapes. Afa ya'fu, to forgive or erase. One who forgives. Al-afi. Tala yatlu could mean two things: to recite or to follow. So how will be the recital? At-tali. Now, why this alif lam coming here? Our pattern is ismul fa'il fa'ilun, not al fa'ilun. So it is there just to show you that when you will attach alif lam, it is the ya will come, because this is what it demands. The kasra demands that the next word after that should be ya. Hence, you are looking at this ya. But if you take this alif lam out, then what's going to happen? If you how will you say this? You will say da'in, najin, afin, talin. It is to do with the marfu form and mansub form of the word. We are not going into that. So just remember, this is how ismul fa'il is made. Ad-da'i, an-naji. But if you have to take alif lam out, then your ya will also be gone. And because this ya is getting removed, what is the evidence that the ya is being removed? This tanween is the evidence that the ya is removed. Because if you look at originally, this ayn had the single kasra, right? So if I take alif lam out, it should be da'i. Da'i, it should stop at ayn with the kasra, but this is not how it's going to work, because if you put a single kasra on ayn, then how will you know that the word, the letter has been omitted after that? This tanween tells you that something has been omitted from there. Now, this is sarf. This is how sarf in Sarf, you see the evidences and witnesses that somewhere all of a sudden Tanween is appearing, and you're thinking, why Tanween is coming here? There should be no Tanween, because this Tanween is coming because something else has been deleted from afterwards. So as I told you, once again, I'm telling you, Sarf requires you to do a lot of practice. It's a part of the book, so we are attending that. If it was not the part of the book, we perhaps would have had a separate course for that. For all of those sisters who are finding it a little bit, there's too much information, I will suggest you to do one thing. Like certain things we have done in past, where without going into the details, we just memorized the patterns, like the conjugations. We didn't know a lot of things at that point in time, but we simply memorized it. And as we move forward with the practice and with the new things coming, we were able to not only understand those things, but we were able to, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa ma tawfiqi illa billah, master all those things. So you will be able to do the same here. Bottom line is, if you see da'a yad'u, remember ismul fa'il is da'in. Naja yanju, ismul fa'il is najin. Afa ya'fu, ismul fa'il is afin. Tala yatlu, ismul fa'il is talin. Now, what happened? Why did this tanween came? What was the asl? I have explained all of that. So if you like to go into that, you can do that, ponder upon more, practice more, and you will become strong. If you don't want to do that, then it's fine. Just stick to the final result. Hada yahdi, to guide. How will somebody who is guiding will be called? Hadin, right? Saqa yasqi, saqin. So you see here with alif lam, you can see the ya. With alif lam, you can see the ya. Here it was originally ya. Originally it was ya. So this ya is coming here, but once again, when you are changing it, you will make it saqin. Al-hadi will become hadin if it is coming without alif lam. There is, once again, there's a marfu mansub thing going on here, but we are not discussing that. Zana yazni. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. Zanin. Bana yabni banin, the builder. Baka yabki bakin, the one who cry. Nasa yansi, to forget. Nasin is the one forgetful. However, if you will bring alif and lam here, depending on the need of your sentence, then you will not have tanween, you will rather have this ya coming here. Is everybody clear with me, sisters? Here, somebody may say, here ya is coming, we didn't make any change. Why? Simple reason is, we had, in the previous example, we had wow coming after the kasra. That wow was not suitable, hence it was changed into ya. Here, we already have ya coming here after the dal, so we don't have a problem. Because if you look at saqa yasqi, somebody said, why ya is coming originally? What are you talking about? Okay, what I'm talking about is, saqa is your past tense. How many letters? Seen, qaf, and alif. This is alif, right? Alif is never asli. Alif is either waw or either ya. What is the asl? Yasqi. This ya is the asl. So now we are bringing here asl. We don't need to change it. Why? Because the vowel sign before that is a kasra, and they go very fine. Ya and kasra, they are friends. They don't have any problems with each other. So here we change waw to ya, because waw cannot come after kasra. Here we already had ya coming after the kasra. They both are suitable to each other, so we don't really need to change that. I hope it is clear. And even if you're not clear, just remember that you have to memorize few things, and inshallah, as we'll move forward in the future lessons, hopefully you'll be able to understand all of this. So now what you have to do is make a small file from the following verbs and mention type of every verb from them, like the examples. Now this is what you do. If you do that, you will be able to understand, memorize, and practice many things in one go. So you have a verb given here, for example, hajj. He performed hajj. Now you have to define or decide what is the type of this verb, because the type of the verb will actually tell you how you're going to make ismul fa'il. So hajja is your verb. Naw'uhu, its type is mudaf, and then you have to make ismul fa'il derived from it. How will you make? As we've seen before, we'll simply add alif here, hajjun. And what was the original? hajijun. Now, it's good if you know the original. So if you can work a little hard and try to understand the original, that will help you a lot. Because here in this particular example, in Ismul Fa'il, you simply added alif here and you're done. No problems with that. It is possible that when you will be making other things, when we will move forward in the course, you will see you are making Ismul Ala, the noun of the tool, Ismul Zaman, Ismul Makan, noun of the time, noun of the place, and other things. When you will start making that, then to know the original letter will be very, very important. But for now, this is very simple and you can straight away go ahead with that. So now you have verbs here given. In your book, you don't have solution, but alhamdulillah, here you have a solution. I would suggest you, when you revise your lesson, when you do your homework, when you are practicing it, pick these verbs and put it on this pattern. So say jalasa and then think what is the type of jalasa, what kind of verb. It is sahi, right? It is sound verb. So how will the ismul file made from that? It will be jalisun. What will be the asl? Jalisun. There is no change. The asl is the same as the, so basically there are no two versions. There's no letter which has been changed, so it's just the one form. So jalasa, the type is a sahi, means sound verb. Ismul fa'il is jalisun. Akala, what kind of verb is that? Is mahmuzul fa. It's starting with hamza, and when the hamza is coming in the beginning, it is called mahmuzul fa'i. And what is the ismul fa'il? Akilun. So you had one alif coming after this hamza, and because of that it became mad. You elongate it. So here after this hamza you added another alif, because ismul fa'il pattern is fa, alif, ain, and lam. So because now two hamzas are coming here, hamzatul qat and hamzatul wasl, you join them, you assimilated them, it become kilun. Qara'a, now this is mahmuzul lam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the soul of Sheikh Abdul Rahim. Look how beautifully he's giving us the revision of all the types of the verbs which we've done in past. So qara'a, once again, hamza is coming. So this word type is mahmuz. But what is the further definition of mahmuz? It is mahmuzul lam. So the hamza is coming on lam kalima. How will you make ismul fa'il? Qari'un. Qari'un, very simple. Waqafa is mithal. Which mithal is that? It is mithal al-wawi. Waw is coming in the beginning. He stood up. How will you say ismul fa'il? How will you make it? Simply adding alif after the first letter. Waqifun. Shakka, he doubted. Now shakka, as you see, it is mudaf. The ain and lam kalima are identical. This is al-mudaf. How will you make? Shakun. Simply on the same pattern which you made hajjun, exactly the same. What was the original? To see the original, you have opened up the idgham and you saw what were these two letters on the pattern of ismul fa'il, shakikun. But shakikun, you see, it is a little bit tough on the tongue, shakikun. And shakun is very easy. Taba. Taba is what? It is ajwaf, ajwaf al-wawi. So in mudare, it is taba. In present tense, it is taba yatubu. So we know this is ajwaf wawi. The original ajwaf letter is a waw. So how will you make it? Look here, the waw we can see. And we have just now, we have seen that we will simply put a hamza after the alif of the pattern of ismul fa'il. So ta, alif, and then hamza, and then ba. Ta'ibun, the repenter. Ghaba, this is al-ajwaf al-ya'i. So this alif is actually ya. How will we know? Ghaba yaghibu. Ghaba was the past tense. Yaghibu is the present tense. So we know this is ajwaf al-ya'i. Alhamdulillah, is ajwaf wawi or ajwaf ya'i? Ismul fa'il is made in the same way. Waw or ya will change into hamza. So original letters were waw. And ghaba yaghibu, the original ismul fa'il was ghayibun. But see, ghaibun is difficult and ghaibun is easy. So this original waw and ya will be changed into hamza. So that's why, because they both are getting changed into hamza, even if you don't know what was the original letter, you can simply put a hamza as soon as this is, as long as this is an ajwaf verb. Shafa yashfi. Al-naqis al-ya'i. Shafa is the naqis verb. It has got the last letter, which is the weak letter. Shafa How will you know what is the last letter is waw or ya? Simply look at the mudari, shafa, yashfi. So this is naqis and this is ya'i. Because why we say ya'i? Because the naqis letter in the madi is actually ya. So we call it al-naqis al-ya'i. And the asl, if you make small file, it becomes shafiyun. But this is once again the rule of the surf, as we've seen before. If with alif lam, you'll say ash-shafi. But if you take alif lam, then you have to take this ya out and you say shafin. Once again, this particular verb has got other connotations to it when you make its ismul fa'il, ismul maf'ul. When it comes to in marfu form, mansub form, majrur form, there are some changes. We are not going in those changes now. Raja was mudare yarju. So now the alif is actually wow. So it means that it is a naqisul wawiyu. So rajivin. You see how difficult it is rajivin. So to make it easy, a raji or without alif lam, a rajin. Once again, we are not going into the detail of its marfu, mansub, majrur form because there are some changes happening because of that. Sa'ala. This is mahmuz because there is a hamza in the verb. But which type of mahmuz is this? Mahmuzul aini. Why? Because hamza is coming in the place of ain kalima. How do we make ismul fa'il? Sa'ilun. It's very simple. We have seen that before as well. Ghaibun, ta'ibun. So you see when you have ajwaf, either wawi or ya'i, you add hamza here. In sa'ala, what did you do? You added alif after the scene, sa'ilun. So don't confuse this hamza in sa'ilun with the hamza here in ajwaf. In ajwaf, hamza is coming from the outside. It was not there before. Originally, it was waw or ya, and it was changed by hamza. Whereas this hamza in sa'ilun is the original letter from the verb. Look, sa'ala, sin was the first letter, sin is the first letter. This alif is coming from the pattern of ismul fa'il, which is fa'ilun. So this alif came from there, and this hamza is simply coming from here. Now, I hope by now we all understand and we all know that this hamza can come in different shape and different forms depending on how it is coming. So this hamza is on the alif, this hamza is coming in the middle, this hamza can come in the end. So hamza basically has got many different shapes and forms where it will appear in the word according to its placement. And in ilmul imla, in Arabic, there's a science of dictation, maybe you would call science of writing. In ilmul imla, so this ilmul imla has got many rules, and hamza is one of the biggest chapter in that. So hamza can be on the nabra, hamza could be ala satr. So hamza has got a lot of details. We have seen that in past, but this is not the lesson or topic to go into that. But just to once again let you know, this hamza can come in different places in different forms. If you look at qara'a, here it was coming on alif, but in this situation, because ra has got a kasra, we cannot put this alif here and put hamza over there, so it was sitting on the chair of ya, qari'un. So now this, you see, this hamza is now working in coordination with what is coming before that. I hope you're getting that, sisters. So now we move to ismul maf'ul. So far we have seen how to make ismul fa'il from the verbs which are not sound. As in the past lessons we have done ismul maf'ul and ismul fa'il from the regular verbs. Once again, kataba, katibun, maktubun, qatala, qatilun, maqtulun. Now here in today's lesson, we are looking at the verbs which are not the sound verbs, how to make ismul fa'il and maf'ul from them. We already have seen ismul fa'il. Now let's move to ismul maf'ul. So if you have, now we will be able to move a little bit faster because now I don't have to re-jog your memory and tell you what is al-ajwaf, al-wawi, al-ya'i, what was the original letter, what was not the original letter. We have already covered that a few minutes before. So now you're making ismul fa'il from the verb which is al-ajwaf al-wawi. as we have seen last time and the time before, that we have made ismul maf'ul from the past tense of the active verb instead of passive verb. If you look here, it says qila. It's not saying qala. We are not making ismul maf'ul from qala. We are making from qila. This is the original and the right way of doing it. In the previous classes, we've done it so we can get the grasp of that, and we are simply able to understand what is ismul maf'ul and how it is made. Here some detail is coming. You see, now you are looking at the original letters, but if you don't want to make still from the passive, it's fine. You make from the passive ismul maf'ul because in the meaning they both have similarity in terms of they both are like it's appropriate to have the similar meaning. So you see, if you look at this word qila, the translation is, it's not qala. Qala means he said. Qila means it was said. And if you make ismul maf'ul, what is said? So in terms of meaning, they both are closer, but you can still continue making ismul maf'ul from qala, zara, lama. There's no issue with that as long as you know what is the original letter. So, but going through what is given here, qila is the past tense, passive past tense. Qala is the present past tense and yaqulu is our mudare. So this waw is telling us that that was the original letter. Now, if we try to make ismul maf'ul based on the original letters, how would it look like? Our pattern is what? Meme at the start and waw before the last letter. Let's do that. You put meme before the start, and in the pattern of maf'ulun, as you can see here in the turquoise, fa kalima gets a sukoon. So you put sukoon on the qaf. Sisters, pay attention. This is important. And then you have ain kalima, which has got a dhamma. So here it is your ain kalima. Wow, you put a dhamma. And this wow is basically from the pattern of ismul maf'ul. It has got sukoon. So you put the sukoon here. And your lam kalima is here. It's in the pattern of ismul maf'ul, it is lam kalima here. What now? How does it look like? If you try to read this, it look maqvoolun, maqvoolun, difficult on tongue. What do we do now? And there's another problem with that. You see, the important thing, please pay attention. The letters have their own significance, have their own rights, have their own weaknesses, hence weak letters and sound letters. So when it comes to haraka, consider haraka is a cap. Haraka is a cap and it's a cap of honor, right? I'm just giving an example for you to understand. It's a cap of honor. So somebody who is in a higher position will wear the cap. You see, you watch in sports all day long, many sports, captain will be wearing a cap. Maybe other players are not wearing the cap because those are just players. And captain is the captain, got a higher rank. So in Sarf, the Sahi letters, sound letters, had the higher level than the non-sound letters. So it is not possible that the sound letter will not have a cap and weak letter will have a cap. So if you look at maqwulun, stick to this. Qaf is a Sahi letter. It's a sound letter, has got no cap, has got sukoon. Waw is the weak letter and has got a sukoon, has got a letter diacritical mark. Vowel sign. How is this possible? So this Dhamma has to move here. So it will become what? Now, do it in your own notebooks if you like to. This is how it, if when you study surf, because we are not studying surf primarily, so we are not going into detail. If you go into the surf, you will have to write everything. This was the first shape, then this became the second shape, then you cut this and you made the third shape, maybe then you edit and it became the fourth shape. You remember when we have actually studied all of these verbs, weak verbs, we went through step by step and we saw lines coming and cutting and we saw which letter was replacing what. This is the same thing. So once again, Meme is from Ismul Maf'ul. Qaf is the original letter. This Waw is the original letter. Lam is the original letter. And this Waw as a second last letter is coming on the pattern of Ismul Maf'ul. So this is this Waw. So Qaf had a sukoon. So we move this haraka of Waw to Qaf. Now what is the result? Result is Maqulun. Now iltaqai sakinain is happening. Why? Because this haraka moved to qaf and the waw got the sukoon. So the first waw has got a sukoon and second waw has got the sukoon. What's the rule for iltaqai sakinain? One has to go. So what happened? You have now two waws here. One waw has to go. What is the result? Maqulun. So you have your meme, qaf, you already had given dhamma, so qaf is here. Out of these two waw, which had a sukoon, one had to go. So you see there are, in the final result, two waws are not coming. There's only single waw, and then your last lam is coming. So what is the passive participle here? What's ismul maf'ul? Maqulun. You have a verb zara yazuru. Its passive is zira. How will you make ismul maf'ul? Same thing. You added meme before that, and then zai, which is the original verb letter, it is getting kasra because the pattern of maf'ulun tells you that the second letter has got a sukoon. So this has got a sukoon, and the waw is coming. Waw has got a dhamma. Now, waw cannot have the dhamma because waw is the weak letter. Zai is the salim, is the sound letter. So waw has to give its dhamma back to zai. So now, if you go into the second column, meme has got a fatha, zai has already reclaimed the dhamma from the waw, and now in this third section, we have got two waws, both with the sukoon. One has to be deleted. Come back to the original result. One has deleted and one is left, and then the ra has been transferred back here. So it becomes mazurun, one who is visited. And then you have another verb, lama yalumu, to blame. The passive is lima. So if we look at this again, lama yalumu, if we make ismul file from that, how will it be? Meme will come in the beginning as the pattern of ismul maf'ul, and then waw will come as the second last letter, and you will put harakat according to the pattern of maf'ul. Now, lam, which is a sound letter, has no haraka. Waw, which is a weak letter, has got the haraka. So waw gives back its haraka to lam. It became mal, and then two waws are coming, both with the sukoon, and then meme is coming. How will you resolve it? You will delete one waw. So the result will become malumun, accused. I hope it is clear, sisters. I know it is a little bit um, more to think here, but this is how it is. The surf is like that. Just give me some feedback in the chat window. Are you all okay with that, or are you feeling tired? Okay, we will. What we'll do is we'll do a little bit before we end the class, so at least we have something done, and we can carry on in the next class, inshallah, from uh, this point onward. So this was the first example you saw, Ismul Maful from Ajwaf al-Wawi. What will happen from Ajwaf al-Ya'i? Your original verb was ba'a yabi'u. The naqis, the passive is bi'a. But we are just trying to make Ismul Maful using our current knowledge, whatever we have learned so far. So what do? We do the same thing. We have a pattern of maf'ul which needs to be put here. And we have original letters ba, ya, and ain. So we put everything on the pattern of maf'ul. So meme got the fatha. Ba is our original letter from the verb, but it is getting sukoon. And then ya is getting dhamma because this is the pattern of ismul maf'ul. And then waw has got a sukoon and ain has got the haraka. Now what is happening here is once again the same thing what we have seen before. Before we have seen that the waw was getting haraka and the sound letter was without haraka. Now here we see ya is getting haraka, which is ya is a weak letter, and ba is without haraka, is with the sukoon. Why? I hope all of you understand that wow, why wow was coming here, because original letter was wow. That's why wow was here. Why this is coming ya here? Because ya is the original letter. In Madi, they both have alif. Qala and Ba'a, but they both belong to different category. Qala belong to Ajwaf al-Wawi, which means this alif was the waw. We saw that when we were looking at this original form. Whereas the Ba'a, what is the asl of the alif? It's Ya. Ba'a yabi'u. That's why we see Ya coming here. But the problem remains same. Either waw or ya, they both are weak letters, and we are getting haraka coming on that because this is what the pattern is. So now what to do? So we have to transfer the haraka from the weak letter to a sound letter. Let's do the same thing. So mim had got a fatha, and then ba has got without any haraka. Now here one step adds. Ba has got a sukoon. So we transfer the dhamma of ya onto ba. So now sound letter has got the haraka. So this one portion is done. Sound letter has got its cap. But there's another problem. Can we have a dhamma here when there is a ya coming after the? We cannot. Otherwise, it'll be mabuyi. Mabuyi is going to be difficult. So to adjust this ya, the dhamma on the ba turned into kasra. So it become what? Mabi. You see now the result. Mim had a fatha and ba had got a kasra. Are you getting, sisters, how sophisticated surf is? Everything is being taken care of. So in the previous one, in the case of qala yaqulu, we did only one change, and that change was to transfer the haraka from the weak letter to the sound letter. Now here we transfer, in this ba'a yabiu, we transferred the haraka of the weak letter to the sound letter, but that is not enough. Why? Because there's a ya coming that, and you cannot have dhamma coming before ya. So you change this dhamma into kasra. It become mabi, mabi. So two letters are sorted. Now what are we left here? We are left here with two vowel-less letters. Ya has got no haraka, means sukoon. Waw also has got the sukoon. So we have to delete one among the two. So we deleted waw and we retain ya, and then we have ain coming at the as the final letter to be on the pattern of ismul maf'ul. Now you may ask one question. Here in the previous one, qala yaqulu, we had two vowels, so we deleted one, no questions. Here we have a tussle between ya and waw. Ya has got, ya is vowelless and waw is vowelless. Ya has sukoon and waw is sukoon. Why are we deleting waw? Why are we not deleting ya? Isn't it? We are not deleting ya because we have a kasra before already put there. So we simply remove the waw. There could be other reasons as well. We are not going into that. So finally, the answer is mabi'un. Ba'a yabi'u. How will you make ismul maf'ul? Mabi'un. Kila is the passive form. Originally, it was kala. Yakilu means to measure. How will you make ismul maf'ul? Makilun. Zada yazidu. That's the most easiest verb because we have done this many times, to increase. How will you make ismul maf'ul from the mazidun? We know this word. Now just look at this word to get a little bit more understanding and practice once again. Your original word zai, here is zai, and then ya is also the original letter. It was originally zada, but we know this alif is not original. What was the alif? We found that in the mudare, this ya is actually the letter which was replaced by alif when it was madi. So, and then you have dal coming. So now when you put it onto the pattern of ismul maf'ul, you brought in mim from the pattern of ismul maf'ul. So maf'ul, mim come with the fatha. Maf, fa has got a sukoon. So we put sukoon on the zai. Maf, and then ulun. So ain has got the dhamma. So here ya, which is our ain kalima, has got a dhamma. And on the pattern of maf'ulun, we see waw has got a sukoon. So we have sukoon. And dal has got a tanween. But what's the result? Mazyudun. Once again, me and you may be able to pronounce, but it's not easy. Mazyudun, how difficult it is. So what do? This ya which is a weak letter and got the haraka, but the sound letter does not have haraka. Sound letter deserves the haraka. So ya gives the haraka back to the sound letter. What's the result? It became mazu. Mazu, because this haraka transferred to ya. Mazu. And after mazu, you have ya, waw, and dal. Now you cannot have dal with the dhamma, mazu, and then after that ya is coming. So to adjust that, you change this dhamma, which was taken from ya, into kasra. So now if you come to the final form, you see two letters are sorted now. Mim has got a fatha, zai has got the kasra. So it's become mazi. Now you are in the working area where we are working. You have two letters left, ya and waw. Ya and waw both are vowelless. One has to go. Which one will go? Waw will go. Why waw will go? Because your zai before has got the kasara. You cannot have waw coming after the kasara. So you deleted waw and you are left with ya, and then you added, it became mazidun. There could be other reasons, wallahu alam. But we will just go by this, which is very simple for us to do. So it became mazidun. So this was ismul file on the pattern of al-ajwaf al-ya'i, and the previous one was on the pattern of al-ajwaf al-wawi. Now we have ismul maf'ul to be made on the pattern of naqis. Which naqis? Naqis which is wawi, and naqis which is ya'i. So what we have done so far is we made ismul maf'ul on the pattern of al-ajwaf, al-wawi, and al-ajwaf al-ya'i. Now we have to make ismul maf'ul on the pattern of naqis al-wawi and naqis al-ya'i. You all want to do that, sisters, or you want to take time to practice it and then we come back to it, inshallah, in next class? Please give me some feedback in the chat window, because I don't want to just go on and on and on about it and then you are just missing things, because these things requires very hardcore practice. You really literally need to repeat the same verbs many times, writing using the pen over and over and over and over again. Not just, I'm not saying you need to do 10 verbs and one time each. Maybe you need to do 20 verbs 20 times each. Then you will be able to get it properly. So please give me some feedback, sisters. You want to continue or shall we just stop here? Inshallah, we'll stop here. No problem. Coming class, we will revise these things very quickly and then we will move forward. And hopefully, inshallah, during the week, you will be able to practice what we have studied, because if everything comes to you in one go, then also there's the thing, how many things are you going to practice? How many things your mind is going to absorb? So let's take these things, practice these things, make yourself very strong in them. Come next class, you will have other things coming in that period. That week, you can work on those verbs and gradually you will become strong in that. Because sarf is something, sisters, if you don't practice, you will very, very easily forget. Very, very easily forget. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. I hope today's class was easy. There was no difficulty. It's just certain things are coming which requires a little bit of focus, little bit of attention. Otherwise, there's no rocket science in that. And these are just the principles. If you understand once that the weak letters cannot have haraka and the sound letters can have haraka, and then ya, the suitability of the kasara and the ya and dhamma and the waw, you know all of these things. But this requires just a little bit of practice. Once you do the practice, you will become very strong. With this, inshallah, we'll end the class if there's nothing else, sisters. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.